It's been several months since I've given you guys an update on Transience, the indie stealth action tactical shooter that I'm making with a small team of community developers and guys who have been in the trenches with me trying to bring this game to life. And this video is devlog number 7. The entire playlist is on my channel, so if you guys want to go back and watch the development of this project come to life, you can do so. Before we get into this devlog, I need you guys to pause the video, click the link down below, go to our Steam page and add this game to your wish list. It'll notify you of our impending launch, and it helps us get into the good graces of Steam, and you can impact the launch of this game in a meaningful way. Most devlogs usually revolve around 1 or 2 core features. What I try to do in these videos is give you guys updates on every single aspect of development, from environments to gameplay, every role that we're working on this game. We like to keep you guys in the loop for. Today, I want to start with something special.
Hey, there's a few of you unresponsive on the target's floor. All squads check in. Respond immediately. Exterior, all quiet. Charlie here. We're halfway through the doubling back. No action here. Floor 6 still has some resistance. No sign of Taran.
So, seems he's already gotten off the building. We already have the streets covered. Every angle. He's not down there. From a rat to a rabbit. Check the surrounding buildings. I bet he's on some pre-planned escape route. Probably got several of them. These accountants are slippery fuckers.
Over the past year, we've deep dived the use of level sequencing to create in-game cinematics within Unreal Engine. Frosty acquired a mocap suit and has been doing a lot of the capture sessions, as well as the modeling and animation work to produce what you just saw.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Didn't think to burn the rig here, did you?
Fuck.
Yeah. Would have been the smart move if I was blacklisted. I appreciate you didn't think to.
We use cinematic camera actors that are basically keyed on locations along invisible tracks to get the angles we want, while the custom animation loops are brought in, modeled, lip-synced, and then are playing synced up to the audio tracks for the narrative. We're utilizing level loading to bring in and out the cinematic sublevels, and figuring that out to be performant and optimized has been a task, but the result is an in-game cinematic system that allows us to produce and deliver a more organic and polished narrative storyline. Don't worry, we're still utilizing the comic book cutscenes for a lot of the narrative, but when you're in these levels, we didn't want to swap to comic style, and over the last year, we've really been pushing ourselves and created a nice workflow that allows us to do a combination of both comic style like MP4 video cinematics, 3D rendered video files, as well as in-engine real-time cinematics to tell this story. Now, we're not Rockstar, we're not Naughty Dog, but we feel like we're hitting a quality level that you don't really see from teams our size, and it's got a dope old school feel to it, and then combined with the sound work that Kablooski's doing, it's really bringing the narrative to a whole other level that when we first started, we just completely wrote off. There's no way we could do something like this. Well, we're doing it.
There were 2 rivers cutting through New Houston. Not particularly vacation views, till you got far enough away from all the bustle. That is, before all the concrete and metal painted the landscape over. If you kept along with the current, eventually you made your way back to nature, if you noticed the waters at all.
Now, these comic book cutscenes, they're done all by scratch. We get images in engine, we grab shots, take it to Photoshop, apply the proper filters to give it that thick edge kind of poster look, and then writing the narrative. We literally write out every box, every comic panel. We take it, every single box, bring it into Adobe Premiere, edit the video from there. It's a painstaking process, but it does allow us to cover a ton of narrative without breaking the bank and blowing our budgets into the millions of dollars, and we think it looks pretty cool. Now, it's tough to talk about the narrative without really getting into major spoiler territory, And because the game is so narrative driven, it's tough for us to like show videos of us recording with voice actors with scripts on screen. But I'm happy to say that as of releasing this devlog, we have finished the major recording left on the game. There's a few filler recording sessions we have to do with some minor characters, but for the most part, the entire narrative has been written, recorded, chopped up, and brought into the game. And now we're in the process of finalizing the placements for in-game dialogue, getting the audio tracks mixed and completed for the cinematics, and putting the finishing touches on this story. From our narrative writer True Doom spending hundreds of hours writing and crafting this story, to organizing documents for all of our voice actors to work off of, to finding the voice actors, hosting auditions, doing test recordings, setting up sessions, chopping up all of the audio, sending it to our audio guy to get mixed, then imported back into the project, imported back into the... There's so much that goes into this process, and it's been a major organizational process, but it's been so worth it to watch our voice actors come together and record in sessions over Discord for the last 3 years. We use software called Obsidian, which ties straight into the project file, so when somebody is writing something and they push a part of the script, the rest of the team can actually see that change. So the collaborative effort here is insane. Now, Obsidian also has a visualizer that shows the entire project coming to life. This is the story of Transience from birth to where we are now. Everyone involved here has been absolutely incredible. From Dan Johnson, who plays Eli Reed, to Emershur Jarko, who plays Sadie, Jeremy F., who's been a community member for a long time and professional voice actor. We've also worked with incredible voice actors like Drakes, Zach Thompson, who voices Pagano, as well as 41, who you guys know from Tarkov. And I want to give a shout out to some of our community members, Redbeard Mortis, Sir Blackout, Arctic Soldier, American Riot, Blue the Robot, who have all helped voice certain characters spread around the world. Oh yeah, and I mean, even me, who has a role in the game that you guys will have to find out when you play the game at launch. And to our 10 to 12 other voice actors I'm counting just off the top of my head, this process has been incredible, and I'm so excited for you guys to experience this story. I wish I could talk about it more, but we just can't. We gotta keep something under wraps so you guys are surprised a little bit at launch. With any good story-driven game, you need a cast of characters who will help drive the story forward, and Transience is no different. Again, for the sake of spoilers, I'd like to avoid any specific details about the cast, but I did want to show off the character work that Frosty is doing to bring this cast from the paper to the game. These are just some of the characters that you will be running into while you travel through Transience. The effort that Frosty is putting in to make these character models come to life with lip sync and facial motion has been awesome to see. And we think we're nailing a quality level that a lot of you guys will be happy with, but we want you to let us know what you think down below.
I assume you remember where my main stash is. Hit it. Take anything you need.
Understood. Best you lay low for now.
Yes, but if this is worst case, they might have intel on my main. But I have a second one hidden in the elevator shaft on this side of the building.
Frosty also wanted me to mention in this devlog to be completely transparent and open about how we're developing this game. We are utilizing a lot of kit bashing and customizing of already existing models and meshes, or utilizing some marketplace content material. Examples mostly being for things like clothing, accessories like different vests or pouches. But then when it comes to the main cast, guys like Eli, Sadie, Pagano, and a few others I don't want to spoil yet, through a combination of him and Cody, who is also a 3D modeler, they're creating those main characters from scratch top to bottom. As somebody who is highly critical of complete asset flips, this is exactly in line with what I've always felt. You can utilize marketplace assets for things that supplement an entire vision that you're creating from scratch. And as I'm wrapping up the editing for this devlog, Frosty sent me a couple clips of some of the characters that he's working with right now. Check it out.
Just a bit bored. Not enough long-range targets. And games can't hold my attention forever.
Honestly, If I didn't have constant information to sort through, I'm a little afraid I'd lose my mind.
The world of New Houston is dark, gritty, and set during a time where the chaos and instability of the United States creates a pocket where dark forces thrive. We've gone through and contracted artist Redbeard Mortis to create some of the street art that you'll be seeing around New Houston. Here's some shots of the current work. We also wanted to create some community Easter eggs with all of our billboards in the game, so we took some of our more prominent community members here on YouTube and Twitch and in our Discord, and we put them in the game as an homage to you guys, who literally are the only reason why we're doing this in the first place. Shout out to the user behind this one. You know who you are. Remember that underwater nightclub level we've been teasing for over a year? This is what it looks like now. Frosty has gone through and brought this club to life, adding all of the textures, lighting, and vibes we can expect from a club called Haven. Haven is an underwater nightclub off the coast of New Houston that features a two-story lounge-type dance floor with lots of private areas for the elites and the socialites of New Houston to discuss matters without prying eye. The bar at the entrance of Haven, the Sea, features a unique classic wooden look with modern design, including glass cutouts in the floor so you can be as close to the sea as money can buy. And of course, you can't access an underwater club without an above-ground, above-surface entry platform. Here, ships transport civilians to and from the mainland as a way to usher people to their haven. And just a fun little development tidbit, this was literally the first environment that we ever created for Transience. This platform that you're looking at right here, this is what it looked like 3 years ago as a little bit of a testing area for like sprinting speed and actual movement mechanics. We used this platform. Also, for those who have been following this project since day one, if you remember, the first concept art that we ever put out for this project was this platform right here. Let us know in the comments down below if we nailed it. A ton of love has gone into not only the texturing of this map, but the color theory. I've seen Frosty spend a bunch of late nights playing with different patterns for bar textures versus ground textures versus the ground behind the bar textures, different patterns, materials, and colors to make sure every spot in the club hits an incredible vibe. But as you'd imagine, with this much intricate geo, there needs to be a ton of optimizations for colliders, which is what Flow Beatbox is actually working on right now. So as we walk through the map, you might see some frame drops in this video, but just know by the time this game launches, all of these maps are going to have multiple optimization passes, and we've already seen a lot of progress already. But yeah, I'm so glad to finally be able to show off this map. It is fucking gorgeous. And in the last devlog, we showed off the final map in the game, codenamed Yubara. This map is set in Japan for story reasons and has you infiltrating a dam which hides a sinister secret underneath. As a reminder for those who might have forgotten or maybe didn't see the last devlog, this is the concept art for the final map in the game. This is where it was in September of 2024, and this is where it's at now. Now, admittedly, this map still has a ton of TLC needed, but as I produce this devlog, Frosty and Chris are both all hands on deck trying to get this map art complete. And as I've said, this is the last level in the game to be completed, and then a few once-over polish passes on all of the maps, and we're done. To which Frosty has already started doing those polish passes, including lighting changes on some of our other maps. Combine that with Flow Beatbox, who is doing the collider passes and optimization passes on all of these maps. Holy shit, there's a lot left to do. but we're almost there. In a previous devlog, we showed off a map of a server facility complex that had a ton of floors, tons of areas to traverse, and when we finally got in to play through the mission, we realized we didn't really like the layout. It didn't really work for what we wanted to accomplish. The flow was off, so Frankie rebuilt it, blocked it out piece by piece, and Frosty came in and took all of the textures, materials, and assets from the old version of the map and built our new and improved, smaller in scale, Aroa Data Complex 8. This map features a lift in the middle of the level that, once you complete your topside objectives, takes you down to the underground server facility that houses New Houston's most sensitive information, as well as some secrets that not even Eli Reed knows about. And alongside all of these additions and reworks and new maps, Frosty also spent some time relighting a lot of our maps and adding more points of interest, which I just grabbed some shots out of Engine so you guys can see exactly where all of these levels are at right now. Now, once Frosty has completed his contract for all of these maps and all of the art in the game, he's then going to be transitioning over to finishing up all of the cinematics that are still left to go. And that transition should be happening within the early days of June, which means we're going to be spending the next couple of months focusing solely on the narrative and getting all of these cutscenes finished, done, polished, mixed, wrapped, and ready to go. The main meat and potatoes of Transience is combat. You are an accountant on the run and being hunted by the same group that put a red list on your name, which means you're going to be gunning down a lot of people. And that has to feel good, right? Frankie has done a ton of work trying to make these AI feel as good as we possibly can. A lot of iterations under the hood these last several months, including overhauls to their patrol points, orders to do things like attack and defend certain locations, movement overhauls that give us more control over whether AI are walking, sprinting, or slowly searching for you. Just recently, we updated how their searching mechanics work, so it allows them to basically clear corners and take it, one corner at a time. They angle, lean, move over to the next one. Their clearing abilities have come so far from the early days. It's something that when we first talked about it, it was like, man, it would be so cool if these guys tactically cleared corners, leaned around, noticed it was clear, moved on. It's something we didn't think we could pull off. Well, just recently, we were able to pull it off here. There was a feature that we requested during development that makes the AI have a status that basically makes them enemies to other AI as well. We call it our faction war system. So in one of our levels, you're walking into a firefight between the gangs that run the building you're in, as well as the enemy faction that is there to hunt you down. But we needed them to get into firefights with one another. So they get into scuffles as you're moving through the building that you kind of just get caught up in. Frankie needed to make factions that mark each other as hostile. And just a ton of under the hood stuff. We got AI now shooting from the barrels. We changed different AI configs to adjust things like spread, their max HP. And in testing, we actually found an issue with the way that our AI spotted a player. They have basically a cone of vision, but it was very tough when other AI were within that cone of vision. It would throw our calculations out for basically a 0 to 1 spotting. So we finally figured out why that was going on and fixed that as well. And a highly requested feature from our last video devlog. A lot of you guys were wondering why the AI weren't reacting to things like flashlights. They now react to the player flashlight. So if you flash it, they're going to see you. It basically makes you have to think twice about utilizing these attachments. Now, we weren't a fan of the way the dragging physics worked on enemy AI, like dead bodies or knocked out bodies. We wanted a more accurate body movement system, so we overhauled that to basically attach the bodies to our shoulder so you can move them around while still using your weapons. And with that, we've also brought in one of the more exciting additions to the game, which we're calling body depositing. You can now stuff dead bodies in things like trash chutes, fridges, dumpsters, and other objects around the map to avoid having enemies find them. Most of these objects can hold one body at a time because we wanted to gamify it a little bit. But yeah, you can now stuff bodies in trash chutes, which is hilarious. Now on the player front, in terms of gadgets and the actual suit tech, we've brought in the addition of the EMP gadget, which allows you to knock out things like lights, cameras, and other hazards. And we've tied the VFX. We've got a sound pass done on that as well. And we've also brought in the addition of the noisemaker, which allows you to lure enemies away from patrol points to kind of clear your path for you, or if you want to kind of lure them into a dark corner and kill them, you can do that as well. Now, in terms of the other suit tech, we now have our suit scanner in the game that allows you to scan for hazards like security cameras, motion sensors, and enemy AI. So if you hold tab, you can scan around the environment, tag objects, and kind of keep tabs on enemies. So it kind of works like a tagging system in other games, but you have to actually have the scanner active to be able to see these hazards. And if you happen to scan a security camera that's around the environment, you can then use the scanning tech to hack the camera and access it so you can see maybe around corners or see in rooms that are inaccessible to you. So you can either gauge hazards within these rooms or look for hidden intel or any other information that you might be able to find from hacking the cameras. And we've also created what we're calling an armored security camera variant. It's something you can't take out via EMPs. It's something that you can't hack. They're shielded. And it requires you to kind of think twice about where you're moving through these levels so you don't get spotted by security. Another obstacle we have added to the game is our keypad system. So it basically controls doors that are locked and needing a code to get through. It's a very simple setup. We've seen it in other games, and we finally got that in the game as well. And alongside those major gameplay features that Frankie's been working on, we've also now added our collectible system in the game. So every level will have a few collectibles that you have to find. We've also created the menu and the back end to kind of store, collect, and save them all so you can track them throughout each mission. And speaking of tracking, when you reach the end of a level, we now track a lot of stats for you to peruse and see what your play style is like. They just tell you either how aggressive you are, how stealthy you were, how many shots you hit, how many civilians you killed, just a bunch of cool stats for you to check out at the end of each level so you can kind of see what your play style is like. And I don't know if you caught that in the bottom right corner, but Flo and Frankie both got achievements working in the game and are currently setting them up through Steam's API. And to accomplish all of these things, we have completely overhauled our entire trigger system. So this system has gone through a few iterations throughout development, but Frankie tooled out an entire trigger system that allows us a lot of like very robust control over essentially every item in the game that you can interact with. So if you open a door, we can now like add the functionality to that door. So on open, on close, if the door is locked, when the door is unlocked, we can trigger things based on that. We could have that door then trigger opening and unlocking of a stash. And once that stash is open in the other room, if you go and open that, updating things like Booleans, which tells the level that, hey, maybe I have a suit or maybe I have access to an item that requires me to then unlock another door. Frankie has built out an entire custom system that can pretty much take advantage of any item, object, actor in the game. And with this system, we can now trigger objective markers. So if you have to go and potentially board a train or open a door, and we want to give the player a little bit more guidance, we can trigger on and off objective markers that show you where to go, what you need to do, what you need to interact with. Speaking of objectives, some of our levels are more straightforward, kind of run and gun stealth segments that have you going from point A to point B. Point A, grab something, go to point B. But one level specifically has us infiltrating a server facility environment, and for that we wanted to actually add in some objectives that were a little bit more cooler and requires a little bit more interaction from the player. So alongside all of these systems that are being reworked, fixed, added on, Frankie has created a new hacking minigame that when you interact with certain PCs, you get a nice little IP grabber minigame that pops up that you need to complete before you can then start the hack. Another minigame involves you needing to start a server hack, then fix disrupts on other servers within the room that try to block you out from security, all while having guys rush your position and try to take you out. We've been playtesting these scenarios, and it's been a blast watching these gameplay portions come together, watching players struggle to get through some of these things while the pressure of enemy AI are kind of breathing down their necks. So we get combat, we get mini games, we get objectives all happening. It's pretty cool. Since last September, there has been a ton of quality of life changes to our weapon system, including the ability to zoom in on the LPVO scope. Our G33 magnifier has had a magnification increase. We've reworked all of the attachments. There's a lot of stuff going on under the hood. And we've also added a pistol mount mesh for the 5.7, G18, and the revolver. Now, in order to create a narrative-driven linear experience that features saves, we've had to go through and rigorously test to make sure every aspect of the game is being saved when you hit that save button. making sure your attachment combination saves, the gun you just picked up, the gun you just dropped, the body you just threw in a dumpster, the music file and the stems that are currently playing at the time of the save. All of this information has to be serialized, and over the last 6 months, Flo and Frankie have been iteratively making sure that things are saving and loading properly to make the game, an actual video game. We've also been working and testing through what it looks like to transfer loadout data between levels. So the gun you have at the end of level 2 is the gun you have at the start of level 3. Ammo, the amount of health pens and armor pens and slow-mo pens you have, all of the stuff that you think like just works, like they needed to create and make sure that it actually functions within the save manager that we have in the engine. And so a large portion of the last 6 months has been working and refining all of the features that we currently have in the game while adding new ones and refining those on top of it, and then making sure that everything just kind of functions. So when I hit new game and I choose the difficulty, I can just play through the game, and then we can actually see what that looks like, transferring from level to level, watching cinematics and loading screens load in and out, and seeing how the game actually functions at a core level and is a real piece of software. So the last 6 months has been a lot of iterative refining on every aspect of the game. One of my favorite parts of these devlogs is just getting to slow things down and let you vibe to the soundtrack that Zach is working on. If you guys want to check out his other stuff, I'll have a link to his Spotify down below. But for now, here's a new track that Zach just submitted last week. And I know you guys have been hearing some of the new music throughout this devlog, but I want to take this time to showcase another track that he worked on and submitted earlier this year. The plan right now is when we go to launch, we're going to offer a supporter edition or a deluxe edition that gives you access to the soundtrack and a small digital art book that encompasses a lot of the sketches and the concept art that we use in the early stages of development. But as we're entering the final stage of development here, all of our launch plans are subject to change, and as we get closer, I will keep you guys in the loop. If you guys have recently looked at our Steam page, you've probably noticed a shift in the branding for Transience, including a new color scheme, logo, and icons. Once again, friend and community member Redbeard Mortis was contracted to facelift our existing branding, which was honestly just a font I found on Google for like 15 bucks that I then edited a little bit in Photoshop. Take it from that to this. Now, we had a ton of conversations about what our game actually looks like at first glance when someone is scrolling through Steam, and I know I wanted a bolder look that encompasses the gritty nature of the game while also paying homage to games I played growing up that had those badass, bold logos on the front covers that grabbed my attention. We went through a ton of different iterations and designs and concepts for what we wanted the branding for this game to be. And I know what I wanted. I wanted bold. I wanted a character on the logo. Red took that and ran with it, creating the branding for Transience that also encompasses our stylized e-design from our studio's logo while placing the main character right up front. The font has a dotted pattern prevalent in a lot of older comic book aesthetics, and we wanted to shift from a blue color scheme to red because, well, red is a huge part of the game. You, as an accountant, get red listed in the system, and the original title that we were leaning towards was Red Ledger or Red Listed. So it's a full circle moment for us to get the branding to reflect the game and the journey of this development process in a proper light. And I think it just looks fucking badass. The road to launch is paved with a lot of work left to do. Currently, Frankie is figuring out a scalable solution to localization so we can get this game in the hands of as many people as humanly possible. Flo is working through our environments to do collision passes and optimize as much as we can. Frosty and Chris are currently wrapping their environment work and transitioning to cinematics in June. True Doom is currently in the finishing stages of the script work and helping me chop up voice lines, place them in the project, and just kind of keep the entire thing organized. He will be moving into collectibles and other writing work that still needs to be completed before launch. Kablewski is currently knee-deep in mixing voice lines, setting up music and ambience in our environments, and mixing the cinematics that we currently have done. The next devlog is going to focus a lot on his work on the audio side of things. We're just not quite ready to show it all off yet. Zach has one track left on his contract for the music that will leave us with a 15-song soundtrack for the launch. Cody is currently wrapping up our body deposit models for things like dumpsters, boxes, and other various objects. And I'm currently working through our levels, setting up all of our objectives, triggers for things like in-game dialogue, as well as AI encounters, while managing the team and keeping the ship as straight as I can. Alongside that, we're focused on filling in voice actor roles to the spots that need them, while constantly playtesting and iterating on mechanics and gameplay on a weekly basis. We are now in the final stage of development, and I know it's been kind of annoying having to wait this long between devlogs, but listen, we're a very small team, stretched as thin as you can imagine, covering multiple roles, trying to create a game that you guys will like, that we like, and try to get our foot in the door and establish us as a valid studio. I'm wearing multiple hats while also trying to keep up with content, streaming, and editing, while also working an engine to help out the team where I can. But with all of that said, the last 3 years of work is about to come to an end. We took a small prototype build of an FPS that was built by Frankie and Frosty. They built that prototype in 30 days. We took it from that to this in 3 years, and we need your help. Go to Steam right now, the link is down below. Wishlist the game. It's a single-player tactical FPS with a fully voiced story, a ton of cinematics, and a gameplay loop that blends stealth gameplay with action sequences, a bit of running and gunning, and a ton of bullets to spare. I haven't thought about this moment at all. I've been grinding with this group of guys from our community who came together over a meme of a crypto scam and decided to make a video game. I know they didn't initially sign up for what this turned into, but every single person on this project has pushed themselves to deliver their absolute best, and I couldn't be any fucking prouder of what we've made for you. Wishlist the game, pick up a copy when we're ready to launch, and I'll see you a lot sooner than you think. Oh, that's right. Before I go, I guess I would be a hypocrite if I didn't just give you some gameplay, right? This is one of the newer levels that you guys haven't really seen much of yet, and I cut out all the story bits to avoid spoilers. Enjoy. My name is BigfryTV. Thank you guys for watching the devlog for Transience, and I'll see you in a couple of months.
To the powers that be, try to keep hidden the power to free ourselves from oppression, injustice, and honestly. All you look like is some cowards to me. Stop it, wait. Lie to who? Lie to us. Look in the mirror and tell yourselves that the same rules don't apply to us. Like the torch, cause this shit got me fired up. This is a mission to all of the higher ups taking over. So right now your time is